Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. Man, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. As always, so you guys do know that we have the Superbet Rapid and Blitz coming out of Poland. Like I said, I'm not in Poland, but I mean, that's where we're at right now. And I got the round 7 game they played today between Maxime Vachier-Lagrave and Wesley. So as always, for my people coming from the Philippines, I will say mabuhay to you. Masaya Akoma Kita Kang Muli, it's nice to see you again very much. Magandang, let me see, Magandang Apon. It is afternoon over there, 12:26 p.m. Anybody who is coming from France, I will say bonjour, bienvenue, welcome to my channel. Merci beaucoup, mon ami. Comment ça va, comment allez-vous? I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by, as always, merci. But if you guys are ready to go, man, just take a look and see what we got for this game, son. So we got the move E4. As Bobby Fischer said best by test, we got the move E5, knight to F3, knight to F6. And we do have the Petrov's defense, also known as the Russian game. We got knight taking E5, so black has just lost the pawn, and they're losing the game. No, I'm playing, I'm just messing with you. You guys know that you get this pawn back, homie. We got the move D6, knight goes to F3, and knight takes back on E4. As I said, you know, black gets their pawn back after they push white around just a little bit. We got the move D4, and almost automatically, probably like 95% of the time D5 comes. There really isn't much else to play. You got to make sure that your knight is protected in the middle of the board. We got bishop to D3, bishop to F5. We got castles. We got bishop to E7, C4, pawn takes C4, bishop takes C4. We got castles by black. Rook goes to E1, putting a little bit of pressure on this knight. This knight's like, hey, bro, I don't like all this pressure, homie. So, you know, it's going to do something about it. So we do see knight to D6. Bishop goes up to D5, and because of the placement of the knight, you are not attacking this pawn because you see that it is protected. So we got knight to D7, we got knight up to C3, knight goes to B6, bishop to B3, bishop to F6. You know, white does have an isolated pawn. It is an isolated D pawn, which does make it a little bit different than normal isolated pawns, but, you know, it is still a target nonetheless. We got knight up to E5. You know, of course, we're hoping that, you know, black captures here, and then we can take back, and we have a nice little pawn structure going on. But we do see rook to E8. We got bishop to F4. We got bishop back to E6. D5. And this does displace the bishop back to where it started from, and then we have queen to F3. And, you know, if black is not careful, we are X-raying through our own bishop to try to snap this bishop off the board. So it kind of ties black down just a little bit. And we actually see the novelty of the game, which is the move A5. We've actually seen this position a couple of times. Bishop came back to G6 in one of the games I know. You know, one of the games was played by Anatoly Karpov when he was the world champion. This was back in 1980. So for those of you that are young like me, I was born in 1986. That's too long ago for me. You know, the world didn't start yet. The world didn't start till I was born. That's the joke I like to make anyways. We do see the novelty of the game, which is the move A5. And it's just pretty logical. I mean, you're just putting a little bit of pressure trying to see if you can back this bishop up somewhere. You know, just inconvenience it because it is actually doing really well on this diagonal. So, you know, we got the move A3. We got G6. H3, we got knight back to D7, adding some pressure to this knight. And we do see knight to C4. Knight takes C4, bishop takes C4, and then we do have knight to E5. And this is kind of a tough one because no matter kind of how you cut it, you're going to have to part with your bishop because, of course, you're not going to lose your queen. You know, so you really have to choose which bishop you want to part with. If you go down, let's say queen to E2 and knight takes here and then queen takes, you're going to lose the light square bishop. So, you know, we go ahead and just capture on E5 with the bishop just straight out the gate, and then we do have a rook taking E5, and we got the move G4. This is a very common, whenever you have this type of a setup, you know, in like Benoni's or even King's Indian, stuff like that, defenses, you know, with this bishop fianchetto normally here, you know, H3, G4 is a definite idea that you have. And it might kind of seem like it affects your king's safety a little bit, but it actually doesn't. You're actually really, really good in this situation. So we do see bishop back to D7. We got knight up to E4. We got king to G7. We got D6. Pawn takes D6. And we have reached a point in the game that we do have an only move It's not an only move. There are other moves for sure. But this is a really nice, it is definitely the best move. It's definitely a really nice, cute little move. So if you want to go ahead and pause the video and try to see what move Maxime Vachier-Lagrave does play in this position, go ahead and do so. Okay, so I don't think this is like the most obvious move to see. You know, if you're like super technically aware, then you probably have, you know, thought about it. But the move is actually G5. So if you guess G5, congratulations. You do notice that you really don't want to take with this rook. You know, you really want to take with the bishop, but this bishop is hitting that square. Like I said before, that is why bishop being on that diagonal was such a great thing, because you can attack this f7 pawn, which, you know, f7 and f2, they usually stay weak for a very long time, especially when you move the rook away trying to get it onto an open file and stuff like that. So if we were to see bishop taking g5, of course, you would see queen taking f7 check, king going down to h6, knight taking d6, and you've given a pawn, but you've gotten a pawn. You have a really a nice amount of activity from this knight. You know, you're attacking this pawn right here, and it's just super central. So that's really what you want to go. But actually in the game, after we saw pawn takes and we saw the move g5, Wesley So actually picked really the only other alternate move. The only problem with this particular move is it does give quite a bit to white, given the situation, because you are giving up in exchange. We got rook taking g5 with check, knight taking g5, bishop taking g5. The queen is still able to capture and check on f7. So like I said, you gave up the exchange, and you really kind of, Wesley So allowed Maxime Vachier-Lagrave to kind of go into this position a little the superior way. So king does go to a6. We got the rook a to d1. We're trying to win this pawn at some point, homie. But we do allow a pawn to get taken first. Bishop takes h3. We got bishop to e6. Bishop takes e6. Rook takes e6. Now, it was very crucial because black does have double bishops, which, I mean, it's definitely like, you know, not an exchange. But, you know, these double bishops can be very powerful. So you really kind of want to get rid of one of them. And so you are forcing the trade of bishops here. And like I said, we did see this position here. And, I mean, this pawn is really weak. So, yeah, you're down 2 pawns in this position. But you do have double rooks, and you are going to be corralling this other pawn up. So we got the rook to c8. We got the rook d takes d6. And you got to be kind of careful because we have some mates set up on this square g6. So let's say, for example, like, you know, black doesn't pay attention. We got queen to c7. Rook would be taking g6, and of course the king can move down to h5, but I mean, you would see probably pawn taking g6, I mean, and then this would be one of the mates that I'm talking about. Like, there's always that threat on the board. So after we see rook d takes d6, we do see Wesley So, you know, they're like, hey man, I'm not gonna get checkmated on g6, bro. So we see queen to g8, and this does allow the trade of the queens. The problem is, like I said, you know, black is definitely down in exchange, which, I mean, you know, you're ahead a pawn, but you're down in exchange, so that actually gives white a definite advantage. And so you really don't want to go into trades, but you really didn't have nothing better. Rook goes over to b6. We see rook over to c8. Rook takes b7. So now everything is exactly even, but we do have an extra pawn for white, like I said, or an extra exchange for white. We do see rook going down to c2, king going down to f1, and then we see like a little interesting, you know, tickle, trying to see like, you know, if white really likes their pawn. If black can actually get this pawn, I mean, it would be beneficial. It's not like, you know, it's going to really change the flow of the game that much, but I mean, it's just going to give white with less material. So we do see the rook stepping back to e2 just to defend. We got rook down to c1 with check. We got king to g2, and it is actually in this position that Wesley So resigns the game. Now, it's definitely one of those positions that you could continue to play on. It's definitely much worse for black, but I think one of the major issues is the fact that, you know, Wesley So only has 50 seconds left. So, I mean, he's probably sitting there thinking, hey, man, I don't really want to go into this position having only 50 seconds, because you are in a situation where you really don't have a whole lot of good moves. So, you know, like I said, the game ended here, but let's say, for example, like we try to go forward some kind of way as black. You would probably see the move rook to d1. Rook would come up to e3. Rook would probably go to d2, and you got a rook to f3. you know, defending this pawn again. But it's like, the problem is, in this position, like, what do? You really don't want to go a4 because you're going to be looking at rook to f5, and you are threatening this bishop and also this pawn. Now that you put it on the light square, you really don't want to move your king down, you know, because you're going to be looking at a check here on b5. So, you know, like I said, after this, you would be probably seeing something like this here. And the thing I said a second ago, if you got a4, you're going to be looking at rook to f4, probably g5, but then you have the rook coming up checking, forcing the king down, and you're giving away a pawn and stuff like that. And then this pawn on a4 is weak. So, I mean, there really wasn't anything else to play for if you were Wesley So. That was the end of that game. Like I said, it was pretty, I mean, I didn't say it before, but it was a pretty interesting game. You know, it's definitely something I could see Fabiano Caruana playing, because he's like a super Petrov defense player. But anyways, yeah, that was a round 7 game. So Maxime got the better of Wesley So this time around. So we're going to be looking for Wesley So to get his revenge at some point in the future. So we'll see when that comes up. I think they might play during the Blitz portion. So, you know, we'll see what's going on. But I appreciate you guys very much. Maraming salamat the king kaibigan. Merci beaucoup, mes amis. And I'll see you guys next time.